internet. So in the last 2 weeks I've actually watched a ton of television, and I wanted to talk to you about that today, as you can see in the title of this video. I just spent last week house sitting, and the week before I watched a lot of telly as well. So, new to me TV. We'll start off with the Unbreakable Kimmy Schmidt, which I watched 2 times in its entirety in 4 days. Yep, in about 4 days I watched it from start to finish twice. I just enjoyed it so much. It was so much fun to watch. It's got that fun, bright color scheme, and Kimmy Schmidt is such a fun character, and she's surrounded by these amazing satirical characters as well. There's the 90s references, the over-the-top storylines, but also these wonderful messages. I have to admit there were times where like, is this problematic or is this satire, and where is the line in between? But on the whole, it is so much fun to watch, and it's very, very quotable, and I really hope it gets a season 2. This one's a little bit not TV series, but more series in general, and that is the first 3 episodes of Ruby, the animated series on Rooster Teeth that has been out for a few years now, and I've seen in so many cosplays, and I just was curious, so I went on YouTube and I watched the first 3 episodes, I believe, and it was really interesting and very artistically interesting, at least in how they decided to animate it. I've liked so far what I've seen. I'm not a big anime watcher. I have basically stuck to the classics of Sailor Moon, Sailor Venus, and Pokemon. So I'm not really the best judge of character when it comes to anime, and I'm really very tentative about getting into it, but I wanted to give Ruby a shot since it started on the internet. I think it's going to be one of those shows that if I go back to it, it'll be like this binge watch situation and I lose hours of my life to it. So I'm going to hold off on it for now, but from what I've seen in the first 3 episodes, very cool. I can see why it has a huge following. The next TV show I gave a shot to was Bob's Burgers. I've just heard so much positivity surrounding Bob's Burgers, and I watched the first episode, and maybe it's because I've seen all of like the highlight quotes on Tumblr already, but it was just a little bit flat to me. I'm not sure it's really in the vein of the comedy that I like in my animation, but I do know that it's so much more complex than that, so I am going to give it probably 3 to 6 more episodes to see if it's, you know, it was just the pilot. Explaining myself via sentences has run away from me, so moving on. And then the biggest amount of episodic adventuring that I took in the last week was I watched the entire first season of The 100 on Netflix. So I wanted to give it a shot because of the premise, as well as it was based on a book. The pilot is so much setting up the scene. They do start off with the action right away, but there's a lot of composition and world building in that first episode, and you're actually introduced to so many characters up front right away. And after watching the pilot and watching about half of the second episode, I was feeling so tropey. I was drowning in tropes. Like, any of the tropes that you can think of were probably in this pilot. But at the same time, because I had been hearing so much buzz about it, I wanted to give it the opportunity to really wow me, and giving it 6 episodes to hook me, and you know what, I totally got hooked. They are doing so much better at, developing these characters and making them more complex than when you're first introduced to them. And of course, it's really fun to analyze dystopia with, like, what do you do when you have no rules? What do you do when you're facing extinction as the human race? The whole idea of doing what's right and being worthy of existence, or doing whatever you can to survive and throwing your morals out the window in the process. That is definitely not new, and I've got to say that in The 100. So far, none of these are new ideas, but it's still really fun to play with, and I like the characters enough to watch them go through this process. And then Deachin Lackman, I think that's how you say her name, showed up, and I was sold. I was like, yep, I'm in. If I get to watch Deachin on my television, then I'm in. Yeah, so that's really all I had. If you've watched any of these things, or if you have any feelings about any of these TV shows, please let me know in the comments. We can talk about Kimmy Schmidt and the first season of The 100, and if you have super glaring, like, oh my god, watch Ruby or Bob's Burgers, let me know in the comments. If you have any other shows that are relatively new, I don't know, I watch a lot of shows, but mostly on Hulu, so you don't need to tell me to watch Agent Carter or Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. because I'm there. I'm totally there, and I'm totally there. Avengers, man. It's so close. So until my next video, thanks for watching the FTBA. Hello Internet /VidCon / less than famous